Welcome to lesson 14 of Immanuel called the 10 Virgins. And so this will be our last lesson in this class. It's been definitely been a great class to do with you. It's something that I've been eager to do for a long time, and that's just talk about the red letters, the words of Christ. Like that's um truly what my heart belongs to. And I've, tried my best throughout this whole school to provide insights from the red letters from the words of Christ through as we read throughout the whole Bible. So it was great being able to do this with you guys and just stay in the red letters. No parables, no examples. Well, we talk about the parables he said, but the parables of the physical stories in the Bible and how they are teaching the teachings of Christ. We're just talking about the teachings of Christ. It's been great. And so 10 versions, last lesson, and then we'll be moving on to our last class, the bride. And so here we go. So we're going to start a step back from the actual parable about the 10 virgins. Okay. Why? Because this is what is coming, this is what is being said before that. And once again, if we haven't noticed by now, none of these parables are just standalone parables. They all are coming in a context, which, if you understand the context of why the parable was given, you understand the purpose of the parable. Why this parable was really being stated, what it was addressing, why he gave this parable to address what heart, what situation, what that was said to him. And so be ready for his coming. Matthew 24, starting in verse 42, it says, "Therefore be on the alert, for you do not know which day your Lord is coming. But be sure of this, that if the head of the house had known at what time of the night the thief was coming, he would have been on the alert and would not have allowed his house be broken into. For this reason you also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming in an hour when you do not think he will." And this is, we've already went through this conversation, but this is just giving you more context to how we get to the ten virgins. "Who then is the faithful and sensible slave whom his master put in charge of his household to give them their food at the proper time? Blessed is that slave whom his master finds so doing when he comes. Truly I say to you that he will put him in charge of all his possessions. But if the evil slave says in his heart, 'My master is not coming for a long time,' and begins to beat his fellow slaves and eat and drink with his drunkards, with drunkards, the master of that slave will come on a day when he does not expect him, in an hour which he does not know, and will cut him in pieces and assign him a place with the hypocrites. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." Now, we've read this already, but this is giving us I'll say this, pretext to what is coming with the 10 virgins. He is going to go into the 10 virgin parable because of what he is saying right now, because he's talking about being ready, because he talks about being a faithful and sensible slave who is um, a leader in a sense. Like we've already talked about this parable before, being a good leader that is treating the rest of the household correctly, that is feeding his household as they should, and being ready, right? So then he goes into the 10 virgins. "Then the kingdom of heaven will be compared to 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish and 5 were prudent. For when the foolish took their lamps, they took no oil with them, but the prudent took oil in flasks along with their lamps. Now while the bridegroom was delaying, they all got drowsy and began to sleep." Now, what I love about this parable, a couple things. Once again, going back, because we have to put the rest of the parables with this. Like every parable we've talked about so far when it comes to discipleship and being a steward, a slave, well, that's actually two things, the stewards and slaves, right? All of our stewards and slaves parables are applied to this situation. So we have the faithful steward who was rationing at the proper time, and he is treating the people of the house of Christ correct, and we have the faithful slaves that are doing right with the talents and means that they've been given, and they've multiplied what they've been given, right? Um, we have the stewards and slaves of the vineyard who've been hired and they go out and work. All those things equal the the virgin, or the fiance is what we would call it in our time. The virgin that has oil. They brought oil. They are ready. They're prepared. They are second coming mindset. They understand that he's going to be delayed, and they are prepared for the long haul to continue to be good and faithful stewards and servants of Christ. And it can be likened even to the soils, because the foolish ones are the ones who do not have oil, and they're like the those who sowed on the shallow ground, and it was temporary. It sprouted up, but as soon as the sun hit it, but as soon as persecution came, as soon as life got hard, they fell away. Why? Because they were not in it for the long haul. They were not in it well, with a deep dedication, a deep relationship. It was shallow. In the same way with these virgins, we have those who are prepared and ready for a long haul, waiting patiently for their husband, and those who just have enough for the moment, just for a little while. They don't understand the patience and the long haul journey that they're in for. Now, some of the Greek insights here. Verse 1. So we have will be comparable to. This is a future passive indicative of homoeu, meaning to be made like or to be compared to. The future passive is significant. The kingdom of heaven is like being described as it presently exists, but as it will be rendered as a future judgment moment. The NSB translates it as will be comparable to, which captures the future orientation well, but comparable slightly softens the verbal force of the Greek, which carries a sense of being actively made like something in a specific moment. The grammar itself is eschatological. Next one, verse 1, virgins, the dative plural of pathenos, meaning a young woman of marriageable age who is sexually pure. The NASB uses virgins, which is accurate. What English misses is the cultural weight. These women will be understood as the bridal attendants whose sole responsibility was readiness for the bridegroom. Their identity was defined by their function in this moment. Now, what do I think is important about this? Okay. What do I think is important about this? Virgin. Why is this word virgin? It says sexually pure, of marriageable age. Why is it so important? Because this is what Paul says that when he was writing to the Corinthians, he wanted to present the Corinthians as pure virgins, ready to be betrothed to one husband. But he likens and says that he's afraid that they'll be led astray from the simplicity of following Christ. And by being led astray, he's implying that they will no longer be pure, they no longer be virgins. They be sexually active with others beyond outside of Christ, which is a spiritual thing we're talking about here. Something we will get much more into in the last class. But what I love about this is that these virgins, and this is a grave warning, because these 10 virgins, all of them have essentially stayed within the simplicity of following Christ. They're virgins, they're sexually pure, they're not touched by anything outside of Christ. But the difference is the readiness to persevere. I want you to catch this. These 10 virgins, they are sexually pure, which means they are spiritually pure. It's a parable. They are spiritually pure. They're undefiled. They have no false teaching within them. They have stayed within the simplicity of following Christ. They don't know anyone but their husband that they're waiting on at this point. They don't know anything. They have any other gods, any other practices. They all they know is their future husband, their husband they're waiting on. But the ones that are wise are prepared for the long haul wait for their husband, which we've been talking about this second coming time. This is about our behavior during this period while we're waiting for the second coming. Some of us are ready and engaged. We said to the death of us, I'm here and I'm waiting, I'm ready. But others of us are just here for this moment and they're waiting for they think the excitement's coming soon. And because it doesn't come soon, they're not ready for him. So I love this because it's a great warning for disciples because you could be very pure in your following of Christ. But because you are not prepared for the long haul journey of what this takes and what it is, you can find yourself on the wrong side of salvation. Next one, lamps, the accusative plural of lampis, referring to torch-like oil lamps or wedding torches. This is important because lampis is distinct from linknos, which is a small household oil lamp. These are processional torches requiring a continuous supply of oil, not a one-time fill. The NESB translate this as lamps, which is functional but loses the image of an outdoor processional torch that burns through oil quickly and visibly. This makes the need for extra oil not a luxury, but an obvious necessity, which makes the foolish virgin's lack of preparation even more inexcusable. And I would liken this to Jesus literally saying he's been warning us that listen, through the parables, I'm going to be delayed. It's going to take a long time. This is not going to happen immediately. But some of our minds are so set on instant gratification that we just can't stay in it because something else is rewarding us, because something else is giving us more pleasure right now. Just like marriage, we know that sex is the consummation of marriage. Guess what? It's a long haul to be with your husband, to have that pleasure, that the pleasureful experience. Are you ready to endure the long haul of divisions and hatred and persecutions and sometimes catching no fish? The disciples went through it. They weren't catching anything. Then one day they caught a bunch. So it's not always catching a bunch of fish. Are you ready for the long haul for the people that God has chosen you to disciple to be the ones that turn against you? It's a long haul journey. And understand that the lamp burns through oil quickly. You need a lot of it. You need to be prepared. Foolish. The adjective moros means foolish in the sense of someone who fails to think ahead or consider consequences. The foolish virgins are not ignorant. They knew what was required. Foolish describes someone who fails to act on what they know. Their failure was volitional, not intellectual. The NSB renders it foolish, which is accurate, but the Greek carries a more pointed moral charge than the English word typically suggests to a modern reader. And so we understand that what makes these versions foolish is they have turned a blind eye to the knowledge and truth that Jesus Christ has given us. That we are called to be future oriented people, that we live now, but Jesus has already told us what's going to happen. He's already given us the promises of the future. He's told us how he's going to judge, how he's going to come back, how he's going to rule, how Satan's going to come back out, how there's going to be a war, the sky's going to split, there's going to be a judgment day, then a new heaven, new earth, then this eternal rule. He's already told us everything. And you can decide to be one of two types of Christians, and specifically a disciple, which to me really shows in the fear of the Lord leads to wisdom. I'm gonna connect these two because we know that the fear of the Lord is the base foundation of the Spirit of God. Once you reject that, you reject the Spirit of God completely. Those who embrace the fear of God will probably bring more oil than they need. Those who reject the fear of God won't bring any oil at all. Because you turn a blind eye to the reality. You turn a blind eye to his judgments. You turn a blind eye to all these different things for many different reasons. It could be because you find yourself in Nicolaitan territory, so you no longer believe in the need to do right by the word. It could be just like this says. You think that things, how do I say this? It's just so far off. You almost treat it like a fairy tale. That yeah, you read it, you know it, but I'm not going to live my life based on all this, and that makes you a foolish virgin, a foolish one. Prudent. The adjective phronimos means practically wise, someone who acts with foresight and discernment. The NSB renders it prudent, which is strong. Prudent is particularly carries a sense of active applied wisdom, not just intelligence, but wisdom that results in right preparation. The contrast with I don't know what this word says because it doesn't have the English to it, but the contrast with this word is not simply smart. Oh, I'm sorry. The contrast with foolish is not simply smart versus dumb. It is prepared versus unprepared at a decisive moment. The wise versions are not smarter. They acted on what they knew ahead of time. So they're not smarter. And this is the thing we have to understand. The wise versus foolish, they both know the same thing. They both have the same warnings. Being wise does not mean you are smarter than other people. It means I've chosen to heed the truth. Reminds me of the beginning of Revelations as blessed are those who heed to the prophecies of this book. You either read this stuff and you come to learn it and you heed to it and you're wise, or you treat it like a fairy tale. You don't let it change your life. You refuse to fear God, give God the fear that He's due from everything that you've read. You refuse to obey. You refuse to change your life. You refuse to operate um, um, with knowledge of the warnings, and you're foolish. But the wise or the prudent operates in foresight. That they believe the prophecies, they believe all these things, and they make choices based on what they're believing through His word. Verse 4, flask. The accusative plural of angion, meaning a vessel or container. The wise virgins took extra vessels of oil along with their torches. The NSB translate this as flask, which works well. The structural point in the Greek is a contrast between having only the lamp, the minimum, and also having the surplus. The theological point embedded in this noun is that true radiance requires provision beyond the moment of departure, surplus, not just sufficiency for the present. No, I love this because I've come across people that generally wonder and may even say that I do too much. Like, why do you read the Bible so much? Why have you read the Bible? Why do you read it so much? Why are you imploring me to read so much? Why are you imploring me to read the Bible so much? I have more things to do with my life than I should be doing just sitting around reading the Bible because you need as much oil as possible. That's why. As much oil as you can carry, you should load up on it. And we get that oil through the Word of God. We get that oil through the Word of God. It is through the Word of God, through the Spirit of the Lord, that we regain the oil to persevere and to be ready for the long haul journey. But because some people, and this is what this is important, it's like you can't just load up on just the need of the moment. You should be loading up on as much oil as you can carry for the long haul. Next, we're dozing slash we're sleeping is an aorist active indicative of nistazo, meaning to nod or become drowsy, capturing the initial moment of falling asleep. Um, to fall asleep is an imperfect active indicative of cathuro, meaning to be asleep, conveying continuous and ongoing sleep. Both verbs apply to all 10 versions. The aorist captures the initial nodding off, and the imperfect captures sustained sleep. The grammar makes unmistakable clear that sleeping is not the sin. Both groups slept. The failure of the foolish was not their drowsiness, but their prior lack of preparation. This distinction is obscure when readers assume that sleeping itself was the moral problem. And so, this is an important thing: is that sleeping itself is not the moral problem. It's not the problem here. I mean, we have many examples in the will of God that sleeping happens just to be part of the will of God. It's something that's going to happen, especially when you get to a high enough level. Adam was put to sleep so that his rib could be taken out to create Eve for him. Abraham, or his name was Abram at the time, Abram fell asleep. Great terror fell on him, but he fell asleep and was part of the will of God in his journey. Jesus fell asleep and great terror fell upon the disciples when they were in the storm in the boat and things of that nature. Falling asleep is not actually a this huge negative in our journeys with God. It's the lack of preparation to know that eventually we will fall asleep. And are you prepared with oil to make it through that sleep, to make it through that that maybe perceived as a downtime in the journey? The 10 verses, Matthew 25:69 says, but at midnight there was a shout, behold, the bridegroom came out to meet him. To I'm sorry, behold, the bridegroom come out to meet him. Then all those virgins rose and trimmed their lamps. The foolish said to the prudent, give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out. But the prudent answered, no, there will not be enough for us, and you too, go instead to the dealers and buy some for yourselves. I love this. You know why? Because it is every man for themselves. We love each other, but I cannot lose. I'm not going to lose my salvation for you. And this is where we draw the line with love. Is I cannot ruin my relationship with God. I cannot decrease my relationship with God for you. And I think this is important because we understand that loving God comes first. He said, I need enough oil in my lamp for the bridegroom. The bridegroom needs us to have the oil in our lamps. I am not going to not have enough for you. You are on your own in your preparation and how you fill your lamp. And this is important because this is also relational. Guess what? The oil that's in your daddy's lamp is not going to get you through this judgment. The oil that's in your wife's lamp is not going to get you through this judgment. The oil that's in your husband's lamp is not going to get you through this judgment. The oil that's in your son's lamp, your granny's lamp, their lamps, what's in their lamp is for them, and what's in your lamp is for you. You must fill up your own lamp. Verse 8, it says are going out, and aor is passive indicative of speneme, meaning to extinguish or quench. The foolish virgins say their lamps are going out. The NSB renders it are going out, which captures the present crisis. The torches were not dead, they were dying. This detail shows the foolish did have some initial oil. Their problem was the absence of sustained supply. This matters theologically because it prevents reading the parable as being about those with no faith at all versus those with full faith. The foolish had something, they simply had no provision to sustain it. Like I said, they were not prepared to sustain the light through coming in and meeting the bridegroom. Their lamps were dying when it was time to be with him. Verse 9 it says, lest when the wise virgins decline to share their oil, they use mipot, a negative particle of cautious concern, meaning lest or in case, used here in a subjunctive construction. Lest there not be enough for us or for you and for you. The grammar is deliberative, not selfish. The NASB renders it there will not be enough, which is clear but flattens the subjunctive mood that in Greek preserves a tone of genuine concern and logical caution rather than cold refusal. The wise version of not being harsh, the grammar shows they are reasoning carefully about a real and shared limitation. And so once again, this is not hatred. This is not like they don't. It's not that they don't want to help them. I can't help you. I can't help you. I have enough. I have enough arms, attention, focus, mind to have enough oil for my lamp. I cannot do. If we're going back to the other parables, I can't do the work of God that He's given me in this time and yours. I don't have it. I only have enough talents to multiply what I have to multiply. I only have enough um, rations to ration out to the people He's given me to ration to. Last part. And while they were going away to make the purchase, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went in with him to the wedding feast, and the door was shut. Later, the other virgins also came, saying, Lord, Lord, open up for us. But he answered, Truly I say to you, I do not know you. Be on the alert then, for you do not know the day nor the hour. I do not know you. So I think what's important about this is that when we see them, the shouting comes says the bridegroom is here and like come and be ready to come meet the bridegroom. That's likened to like you begin to see the signs of his second coming. We begin to see the signs. I wouldn't say it's all out trumpet sound, but I mean that's like the very last second. You hear the trumpet sound, it's over. You ain't got no time to go more to buy no oil. But you see all the signs of his second coming, and then you decide, oh, let me get more oil. Let me start studying more now. Let me go start treating people better now. Let me go start sharing the word of God. Let me do this. Let me do that. Let me do all these different things, and then you realize that you know what, I'm out of time. I'm out of time. And he says to them, and these people are waiting on him to come for marriage. I do not know you. I do not know you. And one of the worst lines that we can hear is those who believe. And that's a line for those who believe. I do not know you. So he knows all who love him, but he considers this lack of love for him to not be prepared. Verse 12 says, I do not know you. The verb oida is a perfect active with present meaning to know in a relational, intimate, and settled sense. It is not Gnosko, which refers to progressive or experiential knowledge. The bridegroom's declaration is not, I have not yet come to know you, but I have no established knowledge of you. The NSB renders it, I do not know you, which is accurate, but the depth of the Greek perfect use here conveys an absolute settled absence of relational recognition, not ignorance, but non acknowledgement. The rejection was not formed at the door, the relational gap existed prior to that moment. So, once again, it's just important to understand that this is a relational. I do not know you. I don't know you. It's not that he doesn't know they exist. It's not that he doesn't know they were waiting on him. He knows all those things, but he doesn't. I don't know you though. And so he likens the I don't say this the acknowledgement of relationship and the experience of relationship with the only those who were ready with oil. That oil is the relationship with Christ before even getting to Him. We have an opportunity in this second coming time that when we are doing the things that we talked about in this parable, He's knowing us. He's getting to know us. He's knowing us. We have a relationship. We're not doing those things. We have no relationship. On that day, it'll be known either that there's a relationship or there's not a relationship. There, I do not know you. Last one, verse 13, it says, "Be on the alert." The closing command is a present active imperative of Gregorio, meaning to stay awake, to be watchful, to be alert. The present imperative commands a continuous state of wakefulness, not a single, not a single act. The NSB renders it "be on the alert," which is strong. The irony the Greek grammar suffers is that both groups did sleep, so the command at the end is not about literal wakefulness, but about the kind of prior, continuous preparation that keeps one ready regardless of when the moment comes. The imperative lands as a present and ongoing call, not a past lesson. So yeah, once again, he says be on the alert, but obviously both groups fell asleep, right? But the alertness, it starts from the beginning. It starts in the preparation. It starts in the preparation. Did you bring enough when you start this journey? And it was time to gather. It's time to prepare. Did you pack enough to make it through the trials and tribulations, the when you're awake and when you were asleep? That was the alertness happens from the very beginning when I'm getting prepared for the journey. When you're alert, you're prepared for. I'm prepared for the. It says a wise man falls 7 times. I'm prepared for 7 falls. I'm prepared to fall asleep. I'm prepared for the persecution. I'm prepared for the hate. I'm prepared for the blessing. I'm prepared for the fruit. I'm prepared for the fallings away. I'm prepared for all these things. Being alert, I can fall asleep and I'm still alert to the reality of what I need to be ready. And so this was the last lesson of Immanuel, lesson 14, the 10 virgins. It's a blessing to do it with you. We'll be back with the eighth class and we'll be finishing off Kingdom School together. Be blessed.